Hello, dear learners and viewers. Hope you are well and going on smoothly with your studies. Today, I shall talk about Rabindranath Tagore's essay An Eastern University. You will get it in your textbook, Unit 6, Lesson 1, but if you have a copy of new edition, you will get it in Unit 15, Lesson 1. In fact, in your book, it is not given completely, rather, we can say this is an extract of the original essay An Eastern University. Well, dear learners, this lesson deals with Tagore's concept of higher education as well as his educational experiment and his desire to transform teaching and learning in Bengal. Well, dear students, you know Tagore wrote this essay in 1922, almost a century ago, but it's a matter of great regret that the truth he wanted to impart us, we have failed to catch it. Now, we lament over the fact that our students are not being properly educated, and very often we cry out for the demand of moral teaching, and even we have added an extra subject named religion and moral teaching to guide them, to improve the situation, but we have failed to reach our goal. Rabindranath visualized this truth, or we can say Rabindranath realized this truth almost a century ago, and he propounded his philosophy on higher education. And his concepts are so important and pragmatic that if we follow them, then the obstacles that lie in our way to improve morality, our humanity, or we can say the quality of humane in the true sense of term, will be evaporate, will be automatically resolved. Well, dear learners, today in our session, first of all, I shall talk about Rabindranath Tagore, and then the key points of the essay An Eastern University, and then I shall discuss the essay, and finally, if we have enough time, we will do an exercise. Okay. Now, let me talk about Rabindranath's biography in short. He was born in 7th May 1861, Calcutta, India, now Kolkata, and died in 7th August 1941 at the age of 80, Calcutta, British India. Sobriquet, that means his nickname Gurudev. He is known as poet, writer, composer, and painter. Pseudonym. His pseudonym is Bhanu Singh or Bhanu Singha. At the age of 16, he released his first substantial poem under Bhanu Singha. By 1877, he published his first short stories and dramas under his real name. He is sometimes referred to the bird of Bengal. He reshaped Bengali literature and music as well as Indian art and contextual modernism in the late 19th and early 20th century. In 1913, he became the first non-European to win the Nobel Prize in Literature. He founded Vishwabharati University. His compositions were chosen by two nations as national anthems, India's Jana Gana Mana and Bangladesh, our Sonar Bangla. The Sri Lankan national anthem was inspired by his words. Notable words, Gitanjali, and you will get almost around 157 poems. Gita Bitan, it contains around 2000 songs, and his famous novels are Bhore Baire, Gora, Chokher Bali. Tagore wrote novels, essays, short stories, travelogues, dramas, and songs. On the occasion of Tagore's 150th birthday, an anthology titled Kalanukramik Rabindranath Rachanabali. This includes all the versions of each work and fills about 80 volumes. Tagore composed with around 2,230 songs. Tagore renounced his knighthood in response to Jallianwala Bagh massacre in 1919. So, this is in short Tagore's biography. Now, in the essay, in the extract in your textbook, you will get 6 paragraphs, and in the first paragraph, he talks about the role of the university. In the second paragraph, culture and education, and in the third paragraph, he talks about the prevailing concept of education and its impact, and then how is the living spirit of the university widely spread in society, and in the fifth paragraph, the role of a teacher, and in the final paragraph, he talks about what should be the function of educational institution. Okay, so let's start the essay from the text. From the very beginning of the sentence, Rabindranath says, university should not be made into a mechanical organization for collecting and distributing knowledge. This is very, very important. That means university should not be made into like a mill or factory that only produce lifeless object. Okay, or we can say it should not be made into a marketplace from where we can get necessary things in exchange of money. Okay, or we can say university should not be made into a place where we can get or we can obtain a certificate only after 4 or 3 years. Okay, rather university should be such a place where people should offer their intellectual hospitality. This is very, very striking point, intellectual hospitality. Now, the question arises, what does intellectual hospitality means? Intellectual hospitality occurs when students engage unfamiliar ideas, read books of unknown author, and finds new ways of looking at the universe. But from the very beginning, the ideas seems to them controversial, or the ideas seems to them illogical or ridicule, and for this they need to be very patient. They need to ask some good question, and they seek to understand. Or in other words, we can say intellectual hospitality means we respect each other sincerity, neither by belittling others' ideas or nor expecting that one should change their mind after change their mind the things they have believed or thought. So, university should be such a place where people should offer the wealth of mind to others. There the teachers or the students, they can exchange the best thought of their mind, and in this way they can earn their proud right. Okay, but later Rabindranath laments over the fact that there is not a single university established in modern time. Okay, that means our universities are not doing or are not serving that purposes. And for this, the students have to cross the sea and knock at the doors of France, Germany, for example. And now we have to cross the sea, we have to go abroad for higher education. For example, we are going now to the USA, UK, France, or Germany. Okay, and thus they lower our intellectual self-respect. They encourage us to make a foolish display of decorations composed of borrowed feathers. In these ways, we are humiliating ourselves. We are lowering our intellectuals, and we are making a foolish display of display of decorations composed of borrowed feathers, just like a crow decorated with the beautiful feather of peacock. In the next paragraph, Rabindranath talks about culture. Okay. Man's intellect has a natural pride in its own aristocracy, which is the pride of its culture. This is very important. Every nation has its own culture, and the people of that nation, they always feel a pride of their own culture. Okay, and culture only acknowledges the excellence. Here, one thing you should know, that culture, the term is an inclusive. This term is an inclusive term. It indicates not only the language, uh, rather we can say that culture indicates language, culture indicates music, art, lifestyle, even the dress we put up, the way we behave or talk with other, uh, even the tools that we use in our daily life. So, culture includes everything. So, culture develops one's inner being, and without ignoring their own culture, we cannot develop ourselves. And in this context, I can just tell you a story. Okay, once a father told his son, who is very good at in English and passed his O level, uh, that in the next week they are going to their village. Then the son told his father, what things we can find in the village. Then the father told his son in Bangla, অনেক জিনিস দেখতে পাবে, বিশেষ করে ধান গাছ দেখলে মন জুড়িয়ে যাবে. The son is very intelligent. As soon as she recollects the term dhan, that means paddy, gas means tree, so dhan gas means paddy tree. Then he told his father, asked his father, Father, can we build a house from this paddy tree? Okay, remember, this child can give you a high-sounding lecture of the history of England, but he doesn't know his own culture. So in this way, we can say that without knowing your own culture, you cannot develop yourself, let alone your nation. And here, Tagore mentions that once she herself provided her children with a culture which was the product of her own age of thought and creation. But once the people of this country, I mean of the Indian subcontinent, imbibing their own culture, they contributed a lot to the development of this country or of this subcontinent. And in this connection, I can mention the name of a few legendary figures. They are Jagdish Chandra Bose, Meghnad Shaha, Kazi Motahar Hussain. I can also mention Prafullo Chandra Ray, Asima Chatterjee, Chandrasekhar Venkataraman, Homi Jahangir Bhabha, Ramanujan, APJ Abul Kalam. I can mention a lot of names who are very well aware, who were very well aware of their own culture. Okay? But it has been thrust aside, and we are made to a treadmill of passing examination. But it's a matter of great regret that now we are running after result. We are running after CGPA, and as a result, our educational institution has been turned into a mill of passing the examination. We are not paying our attention to develop the inner qualities of the students. That we are qualified. As a result, we are making our students qualified for employment under organizations conducted in English. So we can say we are turning our students to a qualified candidates, or we can say that they are becoming a community of qualified candidates, not a cultured community. And as a result, what happens? Actually, we see that after passing the BCS examination or getting higher degrees or getting a good job, whether in the government or it may be in the private job, but we see that they are exploiting the other people. They are committing crimes. So how can they do this? That means they have not been developed culturally, rather they have become qualified individuals. In the next paragraph, Rabindranath talks about the prevailing concept of education in our subcontinent. In Bengali language, there is a modern maxim which can be translated: "He who learns to read and write writes in a careless and fair." Okay, Tagore says that this is it is an offer of a prospective bribe to the student. Why? Because if a child thinks that education is such a thing which will help him to earn money, then of course he will pay no attention to develop his inner quality. Okay? He thinks that education is such a chariot that will help him to earn a lot of money and to live a life of luxury. So, the qualities, namely etiquette, manners, or we can say sympathy, empathy, perseverance, he or she will never pay attention to develop this inner quality. Okay? So, instead, we should teach them that if you become educated, then one day people will respect you. You will be like a burning star, and you will be able to illuminate. You will be able to enlighten people. Okay. Here, Rabindranath says that the training that we get in our school has the constant implication in it that it is not for us to produce but to borrow. This is very, very important. Okay? You see, from the very beginning, we, as in the previous passage, Rabindranath mentioned that the educational institution has now become a treadmill of passing examination, and we are running after CGPA or good result, good marks. So what we do very often, we hire a good teacher or a good tutor for our children, so that we can get some good notes prepared by them. Okay, and as a result, our children, they are really doing well, getting or memorizing those notes. But the fact is that the teacher or the tutor, not the children, is exercising his or her brain to prepare the note. As a result, the creative quality of the children is not improving. So they are growing, keeping the sense that they cannot prepare, they cannot make something, rather they can borrow. And here Rabindranath says that it is not for us to produce but to borrow. So they are growing up thinking that they cannot create nothing new. And testing about borrow our educational plans from European institutions, the trumped plans of Indian corn are dreaming of reoccupying their harvest from the neighboring wheat field. Okay, this is very, very important. Okay, this is actually really pathetic. Please see, in our education, in our school, college, or university, our curriculum or our educational plans are constantly changing, and we are blindly following the plans from the Western or European countries. So, what happens actually? We should remember that the Europeans or the Western people, they are preparing their educational plan, they are preparing their curriculum, considering their culture, their economic, social, and geographical background. So their plans may not be suitable to us. So in that case, what can we do? We can make or prepare our own educational plan, taking the help of the living legend of our country. Okay, and Rabindranath emphasizes this in this sentence, emphasizes these ideas in this sentence. To change the figure, we forget that for proficiency in working, it is better to train muscle of our own legs than to start up with wooden ones of foreign made. Here, one thing is very important, that Rabindranath says that suppose if you get your legs broken, then you should take care of your muscles instead of being solely dependent on the trust of foreign made. Okay, if you do so, then perhaps one day you will be able to work, even you can run. But if you don't take care of your own muscle, rather you can solely dependent on the trust of foreign or very cozy or comfortable foreign trust, then perhaps one day you will forget how to work. So it is better to train muscle of our own legs than to start upon wooden ones of foreign made. In the next paragraph, Rabindranath mentions that when we go to borrow help from a foreign neighborhood, we overlook the fact that among the Europeans, the living spirit of the university is widely spread in the society, their parliament, their literature, and numerous activities of their corporate life. Yes, one thing we should remember, that we are borrowing our plans, our curriculum from the Western or European countries, but what are they actually doing? They are making or creating their own curriculum, their own educational plans with the help of the legendary figure of their own country. They are not borrowing it from elsewhere. Okay? And if they find any drawbacks, any problems, they will get it solved by the legendary figure of their own country. As a result, they can get a perpetual task with a great personality. And but Rabindranath, the last line, feels regret that to misfortune we have in India the furniture of the European university except human nature. In the next paragraph, Rabindranath talks about the role of a teacher. Okay, this is very important. A teacher can never truly teach unless he is still learning himself. A teacher, of course, has to learn constantly. If he doesn't read, if he doesn't learn, how can he meet the demand of the students? As a result, he or she should learn constantly. A lamp can never light another lamp unless it continues to burn its own flame. But it's a matter of great regret that in our subcontinent, the teachers, they hardly study, and as a result, they merely repeats his lesson to his students. And what happens in that case? In that case, they only load the minds of the student, and the teacher cannot quicken them. Okay, this is very, very important, because truth not only must inform but inspires. Okay, if a teacher doesn't study regularly, he cannot inspire. That means he cannot quicken the students, and as a result, the students thinks that the information that the teacher passes is a burden or is a load for them. Okay, and as a result, the truth losses its infinity. The greater part of our learning of the school has become wasted because most of the teachers, their subjects are like dead specimen. If a teacher doesn't study regularly, then he will be a dead specimen. Okay. In the final paragraph, Rabindranath talks about the function of educational institution. It must not be a dead case in which living minds are fed with food artificially prepared. Okay, Rabindranath says that in educational institution should not be like a dead fish. Okay. For example, if you keep a chick or a young bird for a long time, say for 3 or 4 years, after 3 or 4 years, if you open the cage, it may not fly. It will forget how to fly. So in this way, if a teacher just enters into the classroom and passes some pieces of information to the students, then the students will be just like a parrot. He cannot think, he cannot quicken himself, he cannot be inspired, and as a result, he or she or the students will be just like the bird in a cage. So, educational institution should be an open house, okay, in which students and teachers are at one. They must live their complete life together, dominated by a common aspiration for truth and the need for sharing all the delights of culture. So, educational institution should be in such a place where the students and teachers both can share or then exchange their knowledge, and in this way they will be enriched in getting the profound truth from the real life. That was the place where knowledge could become living, but knowledge which not only has its substance and law, but its atmosphere subtly informed by a creative personality. And in the final sentence, Rabindranath says that says that knowledge can be explored in combination. Knowledge can be obtained in combination with enthusiasm, courage, sacrifice, honesty, skill, perseverance. Okay, but if we fail to do so, then our the sorry. Then the vital part of our education remains incomplete. Okay, so this is in short the main concepts or ideas of Tagore's and Eastern University. Now we will do a short exercise, and that is closer. Okay, in your examination, you will get it in question number 3. You see, this is the paragraph, and based on this paragraph, you have to make a flowchart showing the function of a university. Okay, the first one is done for you. Not to be mechanical organization. Here you see the structure. This is 2, that means infinitive. Then we can say that this is an infinitive phrase. Okay, so we can write the flowchart following this rule, infinitive phrase, using infinitive phrase. Okay, now try to find out this point where it is given in the text. Okay, here you see mechanical organization. From this point, we will try to find out the rest of the point or rest of the clues. Okay, here you see offer their intellectual hospitality. So we can say to offer intellectual hospitality. And the next one, wealth of mind. So we can say to offer or provide intellectual wealth of mind. And next you see earn their proud right in return to receive gifts from the rest of the world. So we can say to earn proud right from the rest of the world. And the next one, be acquainted with the best product of the mind. So we can say to be acquainted with the best product of the Indian mind. And next one, lower our intellectual self-respect. Here we can say not to lower our intellectual self-respect. Okay, but if you think we can change it into Oh, there is another clue. If you want, you can write, encourage us not to make a foolish display. So we can say, not to encourage, not to make a foolish display of decoration composed of borrowed feathers. But if we just change the pattern, I mean, if we can also write it following the gerund, following the rules of gerund. Okay, here you see, providing learners with intellect, then offering their intellectual, then earning proud right from the rest of the world, acquainting with the best products of the Indian mind, enriching intellectual self-respect, and finally encouraging not to make a foolish display of decoration composed of borrowed feathers. So, dear learners, today we have discussed the essay in Eastern University, and you should not only read the text, but you should try to guess what you should try to understand or realize what Rabindranath actually means to say, and I hope you have grasped the truth. So,